Hi, I'm Jerry Mikulski, and I'd love to describe some of the use cases for Open Global Mind, this platform and community that I'm helping build out. First one, we're in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic. Too much information is flowing around. Contradictory stories about what painkillers to use, how to source open source ventilators, you name it. Anywhere you go in this large, thorny problem, there's a bunch of issues to work out. There's a bunch of data that people are working on. And we're seeing some really beautiful and insightful charts that show us the progress of the disease and when the curves might bend. Tutorials on how to understand the statistics like R naught and contagion factors and mortality rates and all of that. So what if we could have a platform where those people working on the problem could share in what they know, connect it up in ways that make a lot of sense? I'm demoing here on screen one version of this, which I'm maintaining by myself with a proprietary tool called The Brain, which I did not create, but I love. How might a tool look like that allows us all to collaborate that way? And then how might we set up the important questions and discuss them in a way that would allow for a diversity of opinions and participation and move these arguments further down the road? Use case number 2, corporate strategy discussion. Trying to figure out where to take a corporation in particular these days in light of the coronavirus pandemic and lockdowns and layoffs and basically the world being turned upside down. How do you set up the important questions that a business needs to address, the levers they have to use, the ways in which this current situation might actually change their role in the world? All those kinds of things are tremendous topics for discussion, but how do you connect each of them into historic opinions about each of them, or evidence, or data, major philosophical points of view on these things? I'm not much of a philosopher, but it turns out that a lot of philosophers have said important things over the years. How do we connect to old lessons that are hard to remember but important to learn? So that's a second use case. Third use case. A person in their 50s is suddenly unemployed in the middle of the situation, and they need to figure out how to find their way back into the economy. They, if they're really lucky, would like to find their way back into something with purpose, with meaning. And in the face of automation, which is kind of still wiping out jobs and which we'll see more pressure right now to wipe out more jobs, how do they actually go in and find a community and share knowledge for what they're doing, and maybe in the process of sharing what they know and what they're looking at and what they care about, find some partners with whom they can build small enterprises and go off and actually make a difference in the economy. So somebody who's newly unemployed. And then a fourth use case, kind of parallel, but very different in terms of framing. Instead of a 50 or a 60-something who's suddenly dumped back into the job space, somebody just coming out of school or even in the middle of college who's just been sent home and is trying to figure out, well, damn, what do we do now? Generation C, Generation Coronavirus just got coined. Youth who were in college and suddenly, when they come out, how the economy is going to look, how they're going to find work, what's going to happen, is a crucial question. And a lot of them are even questioning whether to go back to school, how to self-educate, and then also that is actually not that distant from what to do that has meaning and purpose. So all of these are kinds of questions that Open Global Mind would love to be a wonderful place for, both for the collection, sharing, and improvement, sort of the cultivation or gardening of all that information in ways that make sense to each of us, different ways. And then also the discussions on top of that about broaching difficult questions, addressing them in useful ways, and seeing if we can't close some of the cultural divide that's separating us and making it very difficult for us to make collective answers to all these important questions. So those are 4 use cases that I can easily see OGM serving. I would love to know what you think about them, and click on the links I'll put here to join the discussion. Thanks very much.